Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. I'm vengeance.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit holybatcast.com or find us all over social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. You will find us. And if you want to love the show, you don't have to love the show, but if you want to love the show and prove you love the show, you can do it on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/holybatcast. As always, big thank you to our patrons. You guys make our lives easier. Really do appreciate it every single month. We appreciate it, and hopefully you're enjoying the show and your investment is worth it. So thank you guys who've done that. It means a lot. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. If you're looking for other shows to enjoy, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Same as it's been for like 80 years now. Anyway, this episode, we have all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. We got comic book news, we got HBO Max news, we got Justice League news, we've got The Flash news. Oh my gosh, so much to talk about. And so fortunately, I've got two fantastic Bat brothers joining me to talk about it all. First of all, for his triumphant return, it's his birthday. So please welcome the birthday boy, Jamie Drewley. Hey Jamie, welcome back. And happy birthday.
Thank you, and thank you. And, just to let everybody know what a slave driver Andy is, I had to get up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday, my birthday, to be here. But I did it because I like you people.
Well, thank you. We like you too, so I am also going to say, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
Brendan likes
I
it when I do
imagine you
that.
were actually wearing a top hat while you said that.
Yes. Speaking of, he's feeling better. His voice is going to be much easier to listen to this week. Sorry about the last episode, guys. It's Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
How are you guys? Happy birthday, Jamie. Great to have you on again.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm on the mend, which is good. But I tell you what, though, I'm happy my voice has started to improve in the last day or so, because when Andy and I recorded on Monday, obviously my voice was terrible. But from every day since then, normally, the last few weeks, it's usually kind of like by Thursday or Friday, there's messages going out so what are we going to talk about this week? But every day this week has just been well, we can talk about that, we can talk about that, we can talk about that. It's been a good week.
It has been, and I think you even said that a couple days in. You were like, well, the news is piling up nicely, isn't it?
So no, it's not that I can see most of it here in Australia anymore on Facebook. It's been a bit tricky, but I've thankfully been able to keep abreast of things.
All right, good.
He said breast.
It's because he didn't get to enjoy any on Valentine's Day. He was sick.
That's right. Actually, well, you know, Jamie will know when your wife's that pregnant, you can't really enjoy them that much anyway. Because they just hurt all the time.
I was wondering where you were going. There was a pause, and I was like, "Okay, what's happening?" It's my own fault. I opened Pandora's box, but
they're bigger, but you can't touch them.
Oh
yeah.
Man,
it was a struggle.
It's one of nature's cruel ironies.
That is so cruel. Oh my God. We should talk about DC stuff. As fun as it is to talk about your wife's pregnant rack, which is one of my favorite things to discuss. We're going to do a whole hour about it on another show. But on this show, we're starting a new one. Holy Pregnant Cast. It's just going to be Brendan telling us all the wonders of dealing with a pregnancy.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I mean, some kind of a kink thing, whatever you want to call it, to me, there is nothing sexier than a pregnant.
You've told us.
I swear to God. It drives me wild. It really does.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm so sorry I went there. Everybody at home, I'm so sorry. This is my fault.
His birthday, he's allowed.
That's true. It is his birthday. So
allow me a moment, since it is my birthday. I mean, I'll just continue down this horrifically fast falling path that we've opened the door to here. Any guys out there that are kind of worried about the whole pregnant thing, or you're put off by it or anything else, just trust me, treat your wife like a queen while she is pregnant. She will remember it forever.
All right. Noted. Very good.
I'm just here to offer my advice, people.
All right. So this
A
has been...
lot of foot rubs, Brennan. A lot of foot rubs. A lot of them.
Oh yeah, I've been doing that every night. Don't you worry.
Aw, very nice. Okay, let's get to it, shall we? Could keep going down this road, but
I could sit here for another hour talking about this stuff, but I'm gonna let it go.
The other
That's
show.
right. I literally just sent Jamie a message. The 30 weeks photo I took of Jess the other day, just said, "There you go, buddy. Happy birthday."
Oh, well. True friends are ones that share.
Oh, good Lord.
All right, guys.
If you guys need me, I'll be back in a few minutes.
No. Okay.
Beautiful. She's beautiful, Brennan.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty lucky, and she's she's just radiant at the moment. It's really exciting time. So Batman.
Bat who? What?
Y'all done? Yeah, let's talk about that.
It's been like a month. Some slack here.
Something came out. It was like the day after we recorded last time, maybe 2 days after, but it is something we have been asking for a very long time, and eventually finally happened. So this is a very excited comic book announcement, and that is that the worlds of Burton's Batman and Richard Donner's Superman are returning in comic book form coming in July. Got the press release right here. So here you go, in case there's any of these details y'all missed. It says, the movie worlds of Superman 78 and Batman 89 are heading to comics in 2 all-new DC Digital First series. The gothic mentality of Tim Burton's Batman lurks around every corner in Batman 89 by screenwriter Sam Hamm and artist Joe Quinones. You'll Believe a Man Can Fly in Superman 78 by writer Rob Venditti and artist Wilfredo Torres. Beginning in July of 2021, decades after Richard Donner's Superman the movie and Tim Burton's Batman introduced generations of fans to silver screen versions of DC's Man of Steel and The World's Greatest Detective, DC is returning to these beloved properties to tell new stories set within these worlds with the publication of a series of Superman 78 and Batman 89 comic books. Writer Rob Venditti and artist Wilfredo Torres will capture imaginations in Superman 78, while screenwriter Sam Hamm and artist Joe Quinones will immerse readers in Batman 89. Continuing the twisted adventures of DC's Dark Knight from Tim Burton's seminal classic Batman movies, Batman 89 brings in screenwriter Sam Hamm and artist Joe Quinones. There's a lot of duplication in here.
A lot of name dropping.
Yeah, we got it. Sam Hamm and Joe Quinones, got it. To pull on a number of threads left dangling by the prolific director. The gothic mentality behind the world, while still rooted in a sense of realism, helped inform many of DC's global fans' first impressions of the Dark Knight's Gotham. In the Batman 89 comic, Hamm and Quinones will help usher in the return of Selina Kyle, Catwoman, and will debut a new Robin. Plus, Quinones has a vision for Harvey Dent / Two-Face that is as close to movie magic as comics can get. In the vein of DC's plans for Batman 89, Rob Venditti and Wilfredo Torres will collaborate on Superman 78 to tell stories set within the world Richard Donner and Christopher Reeves created in Superman the movie. In Superman 78, bystanders are surprised and delighted by Superman's abilities, and Lois doesn't yet know that Clark Kent is secretly Superman. The sheer thrill of seeing a man can fly, leap, or stop a bullet will be reflected in this environment where Superman has just been introduced. Inspired by Donner's classic, timeless style of superhero storytelling, in Superman 78, Venditti and Torres will show fans that a man can truly fly. These books will debut with 6 digital chapters on July 27th, followed by new chapters of each comic book for 6 weeks that immediately follow. The 12 chapters of each series will also publish as 6 printed comics between August and October, and then as hardcover collections in October and November. Stay tuned for more news about the metropolis of Superman 78 and Gotham of Batman 89. So we got this announcement. We got artwork of, I would assume, are the covers for the very first ones. And then Joe Quinones, who is working on Batman 89, in case you didn't pick up on that, he's the artist for that.
Oh, really? I missed that.
I know they should have mentioned it 4 or 5 more times. He shared some character designs that included Batman, Commissioner Gordon, Alfred, Bullock, and some of the Joker gang. And so all the stuff was out there. It was another thing that came out while I was asleep. I woke up and saw I had been tagged in a bunch of stuff of like, oh my God, Andy's going to lose it when he wakes up. And I did. That's what I did. I woke up and I lost it. But then I gathered myself and was able to share that excitement with other fans. So, birthday boy, how do you feel about this?
I think it's brilliant. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long, but if they had to get any kind of likeness rights or anything else, I suppose that would have been a bit of a struggle. I'm just going to jump right to it. I'm hoping this is a raging success so that we can have an inevitable crossover between the two.
Oh, totally.
And I didn't catch it when you were reading. I didn't catch where it says digital first. Does that mean it's going to be on DC Infinite before anywhere else, or is this something I got to go to like Comixology to get, or what?
It doesn't say that. It says digital first. So what I assume that means is it will be available for purchase, and then it'll pop up on DC Infinite, whatever it is. Is it 6 months now? 6 months later?
Ish.
Whatever that window is. I want to say it's 6 months. So yeah, I think it's available for purchase. Then it'll go onto DC Infinite 6 months later, and then of course it'll eventually go to print.
Okay.
By that stage, you're better off just waiting for the hardcovers.
I mean, totally. Like what I will do is I will buy it digitally.
Listen,
but then I will buy the
let's not act
hardcover.
like Andy's not going to get all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
That's very possible.
The digitals, the single issues, and the hardcovers. And probably get a tattoo of each cover on his shoulder blades.
I mean, so far, this Batman 89 cover is so good that yes, I want a tattoo of it. You are correct.
It's great.
That is just one of the best Batman pieces of art I think I've ever seen. It's perfection. It's so good. And the logo, the gentleman who designed the logo, and I'm sorry I don't have his name in front of me, he even tweeted out, he was like, oh, I was just so honored to be able to recreate the logos from these two films and into a comic book form. And yeah, he did a great job. So like that classic Batman font, and yeah.
He said something about going into the archives or something. He got to use the original templates or something that they used back in 89. Like he got to actually go to the well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. He did say that.
And for anybody out there not familiar with Venditti's work, that guy is an excellent writer. In fact, him and Jay Yaws are kind of pally, and he's very interactive on social media. Venditti is. Guy's an excellent writer. He did Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps during that Rebirth era, and that was a really good book. And I believe he also did the Hawkman book. I only got a couple issues of that. I couldn't really personally get into the story that was being told, but I know a lot of people were way into that. So, I mean, that book seems to me like it's in really good hands with him as a writer, too.
Nice.
The Superman one, like, obviously is going to be good. Like, I'm looking forward to that. But honestly, the thing with the Batman one, first off, I mean, was it like 8-9 years ago there was that creative team or something that pitched this to DC and it was rejected because they released that artwork for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Billy D. Williams Two-Face and sort of had like the neon pink like 89 across it and stuff. Like, I can remember back then going like, why the hell would you pass on that? Like, that sounds amazing. So when I woke up on, I think it was Tuesday, to this news, I was just like, oh my God, finally. But the thing that I'm really psyched about is that Sam Hamm's writing it.
Yeah.
Because, and look, I'm not going to go down a wormhole or anything. Like, I like Batman Returns. I don't love it. It's an obscure movie. I've always, actually, I'd never read it, but when you guys sort of did the breakdown of the original Batman 2 script on here, and I think it was another podcast that did it a couple of years ago as well. It might have been Might have been one of Sean's. Anyway, I really liked the idea of that original Batman 2 script.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded more fun and more of a Batman movie and more of an actual sequel to Batman 89, because Batman Returns is arguably a standalone movie. Like, it's so far removed from the aesthetic and the events and stuff of 89. Yeah, so I mean that really has me psyched. Is, back in the hands of Sam Hamm, who penned that original script. Like, what are we gonna get? That really has me psyched. And yeah, like, I'll get the digitals, obviously. I really, really want to get at least issue 1 of Batman 89 and, like, put it in a frame, if that's the artwork that we saw, because it's gorgeous. And I'm definitely going to get the hardcovers for both of them. Yeah, this is the most excited I've been for a comic since they announced the Adventures Continue, like however long ago that was. So yeah, I'm so pumped for this. It's going to be amazing. Well, I hope it's amazing.
What's so interesting, though, is that Sam Hamm, to your point, like, he wrote the first film, or let's say he wrote 90% of the first film, because there are still changes that they made to his script. And then he wrote a draft of the second. And so, but now, because he's continuing those films, he still has to do... He sort of has to make Batman Returns, even though that wasn't his. Exactly. Yeah. He has to work within those confines of, like, well, that's the Catwoman he's got to use. So it'll be so interesting. I love that he's involved. I think that's great. My one disappointment is that there's no mention of Tim Burton in any way being involved. I would love for him to at least be on as a consultant or something, like kind of like John Carpenter does with a lot of his stuff. He lets other people write comics based on his work, but he always sort of gives his blessing and does a little bit of consulting or whatever. And I'd like them to run it by Tim Burton, just because, I don't know. I mean, of course, in our minds, this is going to become headcanon for the continuation of those two movies. And it would just, to me, feel just a little more legit if we knew it had Burton's stamp of approval.
Do you know what I'm tipping? I could be way off here, but I wouldn't be surprised. I reckon he'd do a forward in the hardcover version. Yeah. That just seems like something
anybody that knows him knows that he would never read a comic book.
I do wonder, though, it's if the holdup was what Jamie said, which is likeness issues. Because...
It almost had to be. I mean, if they have to do it for action figures, they would certainly have to do it for a comic book. And, with all of the characters that they're going to use with, Billy D. Williams and Keaton, and, certainly they're going to try and get Michelle Pfeiffer in there. I mean, that's work, getting those kind of approvals to get that to fly. I mean, look how long any of the stuff with Batman 66 took to get rolling.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, like, obviously DC doesn't have any problem doing something like this because they had the big Batman 66 comic. They had the Wonder Woman 77 comic. But I think it's because they had those people, it was easier to get those people to sign off on going, sure, you can draw my face, I don't care. As opposed to someone like Michael Keaton or Michelle Pfeiffer. Those are just bigger names to get the buy-in from. But because those people have... It's funny because now it's been so long, God, coming on 30 years, that they're happy to embrace that part of their history that they eventually, they must have gotten the okay. But here's what's interesting is in the character designs that Joe Quinones shared, Alfred has a mustache, which is super weird. Yep. But I bet it's because Michael Goff, they couldn't get his likeness because he's passed away and maybe his estate is like, nah, like, who knows? Like, who knows who's running his estate? But there would be no reason to give him a mustache other than, we can't say it's Michael Goff.
Well, I thought the same thing for Pat Hingle. I'm like, he looks kind of different as well. Like, he looks a little closer than Alfred, but he doesn't look as close to Pat Hingle as, say, Michael Keaton does in the Bruce Wayne sketches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I just wonder, like, whenever they do something like that, I assume it's because it's a likeness issue, because I think they did the reverse in the Batman 66 animated movie, is that they shaved Alfred's mustache, so that way you couldn't say it was Alan Napier.
You're right.
So
I just hope it's one of the cases where they at least made a courtesy call to ask.
yeah.
And it wasn't one of the things where they were just so overwhelmed with all of the big name or recognizable faces that they didn't even try.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. I do think that the character designs were so cool. You know, like the Bruce Wayne, Michael Keaton looked so great. I love that they put him in the outfit from the action figure.
The outfit.
Yeah.
Yes. That was my favorite part of the artwork. I was like, you magnificent
That's so cool.
bastard.
That's
It's
great.
so awesome.
Yeah.
I had to like explain it to Jess and like show her photos and like, no, you don't understand. Like, I have this toy. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah. That looks awesome.
Does it have the little belt grappling hook thing that comes out?
No,
Nah,
it was
different.
the
Or am I thinking
quick
of the wrong
change
action
Bruce
figure?
Wayne action figure.
Oh, I'm unfamiliar with
Yeah,
that one.
so
I never
it was
had
for Batman Returns. It was the action figure, and so it was like quick change Bruce Wayne. So it's a Bruce Wayne figure, but then he sort of comes with a Batman cowl that snaps on and stuff.
That was actually the second version. The first one was for the is it the Legends of the Dark Knight range, the one that came out in between Batman 89 and Batman Returns, but it was where they had the actual, like, you know, the figures looked like Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
So, but he's wearing this shirt that's like, it's like black, but it's got like gray, not stripes, but gray lining, and then like a little red abstract bat symbol on the lapel area. And I always thought it was the coolest looking outfit anyway. I've seen versions of that.
T-shirt.
Yeah, I've seen those versions sold as a t-shirt, but the t-shirt looks like garbage because it's just a really bad graphic printed onto a black t-shirt. It's not contoured right, which is why the only reason I haven't bought it is because I'm like, it doesn't look good. But to use that and then put it into this, I thought was just awesome. I saw a lot of people sharing it and explaining it, and I took the stance of, I'm like, if you don't get it, you don't deserve to get it.
Yep.
And then,
Well, I don't deserve to get it because I didn't.
Yep, sorry, Jamie. And then
All right.
the Joker gang, I love the idea of like, oh, okay, you know, like the Joker's influence on Gotham is still being felt, and then one of them is Prince from the Bat Dance video.
That's probably where all your likeness rights money went to.
Yeah, which again, like I mean, maybe Prince's estate is just like, sure, whatever, but like I'm like, or are they trying to sneak it under the radar? I don't know. Like I'm like, that seems like a pretty tough one to get because Prince was so particular about legal stuff. You know, that's why he changed his name to a symbol.
You could argue because Prince was like in the video was the half and half, whereas this guy's like, I mean, maybe that's a loophole. But it's Prince. It's definitely Prince.
I would also imagine those likenesses have a measure to do with how much they're used. Like, if you do a panel, I imagine you can get away with saying it's some kind of a nod or homage or wink or something like that. But if you're doing like a whole story involved with a character, I would imagine that's when it gets real sticky.
Yeah. There was a recent...
Have you seen the artwork, Jamie? Have you seen the artwork?
I just saw the two covers on that post that you made in the Real Fans group.
Because there's also some Dark Knight Returns nods in there as well. Like the women in the Joker's gang have like All This and Brains too on their shirts.
Really?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Which I thought of you straight away.
It's amazing how everybody always thinks of doing Dark Knight Returns stuff shows up.
Weird. So, no, it's going to be awesome. I am also looking forward to Superman 78. I think that's cool, too. I feel like there were some, like, initial artwork that came out for that, too. It wasn't the same type that we got for Batman where it was the character designs. This looked like panels that were in progress. But it definitely looked, it was Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. It was Christopher Reeves as Superman. So that looked really great, too. I'm really excited to see what they do with that. It seems like they're sort of wedging the Superman 78 one sort of during or directly after the first Superman film, because the way they were so particular about like, oh, she doesn't know he's Superman yet, and they acknowledge, oh, he's just sort of shown up on the scene. So I'm excited for both, obviously
if this book does not acknowledge Superman 3 and Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, it's already dead to me.
Well, then it's dead to you.
I think because I think this happens before.
But no, I think it's
you
exciting.
Just want to see, was it Morgan Fairchild? No, what was the...
Mariel Hemingway.
That's the one, Mariel Hemingway. You just want to see her.
And Richard Pryor.
Although Morgan Fairchild was no slouch in the 80s either.
Even today,
Yeah.
the wonders of modern surgeries, but just the same.
Right. And then anyway, Batman himself, they did sort of create an amalgamation costume that was 89 plus returns, a little bit of both. And it looks great. So I'm so excited. And when you were saying,
I hope there's an issue where the drinking clone of Superman comes back from Superman 3.
keep buying it and hopefully it'll keep going and it'll get there. But you were saying, Brendan, you're like, oh, of course I'm going to buy the first issue. And I was like, yeah, me too, but it's going to be hard. And I'm like, oh, wait, the print versions don't come out until summer. I should be back in the States. I should be able to buy comic books again. So excited.
Yep.
So anyway, very cool. I will definitely be buying them digitally in July. But then, yeah, of course. I want to support them for doing something cool that we've all been asking for. So this is awesome.
Oh, hell yeah. Next step, animated movies.
Oh my gosh, a man can dream.
I mean, if these explode and they're hot sellers, I would imagine that's right around the corner from it.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. And again, you could get most of these people to do voices. I mean, not for Superman, obviously, but for Batman. Speaking of comics, though, there's a little comic book synergistic tie-in going on next month in March, because next month there's a little movie premiering on HBO Max. Maybe you heard about it. It's Zack Snyder
vs. Kong?
Yeah, it's Godzilla vs. Kong, and also there's one that has Batman in it.
Oh, okay.
Zack Snyder's Justice League. So because that is premiering in March, it's not even the relaunch of the Justice League comic. It's like basically it's the post-future state, because that's what's been going on right now. Sort of the return to the present of the Justice League comic. They have done a bunch of special covers that are tied into Zack Snyder's Justice League, and these are all really cool pieces of artwork. There's one of Superman and the Flash with Darkseid in the background. There's one of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. And then there's one of Batman and Cyborg in front of Steppenwolf. So just a cool little tie-in, some really cool artwork. And so, yeah, pretty neat. And also, I guess you could say our first official look at what the Martian Manhunter is going to look like.
I mean, he looks like Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, he does. It's just the only thing that I think is worth noting is he looks like the Martian Manhunter, but sometimes Martian Manhunter just has more of a human head or a human-shaped head. This one has the long pointy head, which I feel like has been more common recently.
The thing that I found interesting with them is, like, all of them, the likenesses are pretty much bang on, except for Batman.
Yeah.
Doesn't really look like Affleck's Batman.
Yeah. That's true.
But they're still really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Fun thing, little tie-in, looks neat. Coming to HBO Max. Lots of stuff coming to HBO Max. Their news came out this week that HBO Max is apparently working on a new Constantine series. So this came from Illuminerdi, and says they're developing it with J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot. They said that this will be darker, with more of a focus on horror and less on religion. And then they're looking for a person of color actor to play Constantine, I guess. Interesting.
Yep, that's the story.
Yeah. So, yeah, what do you think about that? Jamie?
Well, other than somebody made this post in the Real Fans TV group, and I had another Perry White moment. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I
was like,
did not.
They want a person of color for this? Oh, great. Now we can, since we can't get Idris as Batman, we can get him as Constantine. And someone was very quick to remind me, he's in Suicide Squad, right? I'm like, son of a bitch.
Oh, Jamie. Classic Jamie.
Yeah. Some things never change.
Do you know who
Memory's the first thing to go, people. As you get older and grayer, memory. First thing to go.
Do you know who'd make a good Constantine? Because he's a Brit. Henry Cavill.
Yeah, but he's not a person of color. Idris is.
Oh, no, he's not. But I'm just
Idris,
saying.
I don't even know how to pronounce it anymore. Point being, he's British, and he's a great actor, and would have been fantastic. But no, we got to put him in a Suicide Squad movie. Yeah.
Well,
Great. I have no problem with the person of color thing. My only disappointment is like, kind of have the perfect Constantine, and I know this is going to be something else, but yeah, like I'd love to see Matt Ryan sort of go full, you know, like with his solo show was like on a network, so it was sort of, they pulled the punches a little bit. Of course, he doesn't go sort of full Constantine on Legends, you know, like they make a joke of it, you know, every time he tries to light up a cigarette, which is funny, and I do like him on that show, but you know, we get to really see him go full sort of, you know, R-rated Constantine in the animated version. I'd love to have a chance to see him do it for real, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, which is disappointing. But you know, it is what it is. So I'm just keen to see who they cast.
yeah.
I enjoy Matt Ryan, and I think he's great in that part. But all due respect, I'm ready for something different here. If they're going to completely change the tone of anything we've seen to date, I'm perfectly fine with them switching up who's going to be the lead in the show. And as far as being a person of color, I mean, if you're still one of those people that has hangups about that, don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Brendan does, which is, if there was no current Constantine happening in the world, I'd be like, great, do it. But the fact that we still have one, and he's perfect, and he's been Constantine for how many years now, and it's just hard to go, okay, like I guess we can do a new one, but like, do we need a new one? The old one's not broken, you know?
No, but we still have this whole multiverse thing rolling around out there. You know, 2 different Flashes, 2 different Batmen. You know, just there's so many versions of these characters floating between, you know, quote, big and small screens out there.
Yeah.
This is just no different than that, as far as I'm concerned.
It's not.
Only in this case, it's just 2 versions of small screen stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's true. It just sucks because he only got like 1 season of his own show, and then he's been great on Legends, and I don't know. He's just, I consider him Constantine. I guess I would feel differently if it was a movie. If they were like, oh, we're doing a Justice League Dark movie, we're recasting Constantine, I'd go, oh, I get it, totally. But like for a TV show and another TV show, I don't know. I'm for it. I think it's cool. I'm more excited for what it could mean to eventually get a Justice League Dark on HBO Max than it is to get another Constantine series. I liked the Matt Ryan series, but he was the best part of that series. So of course I'll be interested in this. It's just, you know, I like the idea of the overall Justice League Dark even more. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. As for the person of color, great. Cool. I've never had an issue with that. So that's fine with me. I just feel like, yeah.
I'm just sitting over here heartbroken because HBO Max hasn't said, hey, we're bringing Swamp Thing back.
Yeah. Right. So I'll be interested to see what this eventually comes to, you know, but I kind of wish they would just jump to Justice League Dark, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Interesting, though, how Constantine has become such like a mainstay over the past, I guess, ever since the show started. He's really...
it's because of Matt Ryan, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's made the character really popular.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy that like Constantine was a very not minor, forgive me for Constantine fans, but just not that well-known a character in the DC universe. And then he got his own show, and then Matt Ryan was so good that then Constantine started showing up on Justice League Action, and then he showed up in Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow, and then he got his own animated movie. And so like Constantine has just become a mainstay, which is impressive.
And there's been 2 Justice League Dark movies that he's fronted.
That too. Yeah, of course. Yeah, good call. So that's great. But yeah, I mean, sometimes lesser known characters eventually get their time in the spotlight, and we love that. And that's kind of what eventually happened to Aquaman. Thank God for someone who has loved Aquaman forever. So, of course, the Aquaman film was a very big hit. And then we heard about a year ago that HBO Max was going to do an animated series, a 3-part animated series that was going to take place after the first film, but before the next film. And it was going to be produced by James Wan. So it was like, cool, a movie tie-in, animated Aquaman? Great. And then this week we got our first official look at the Aquaman series. It's called Aquaman, King of Atlantis. We still don't have a release date, but now we know what Aquaman and Mera look like. We got the first official picture, and then like over the next day or so, we got a couple additional ones. So the art style, it is very reminiscent of Thundercats Roar. You could say Teen Titans Go, but like I feel like Thundercats Roar is even a level past Teen Titans Go, and this is closer to that than it is Teen Titans Go. So it is very cartoony, very exaggerated. Aquaman has little itty bitty hands and green hair. Mera has a really huge unibrow for some reason, little tiny feet. So it's like super, super cartoony. Not, I think, what most of us were expecting. So, Jamie, what'd you think of our first look at this?
I saw the initial still photo that was released for it. I haven't seen anything since that because I'm just not paying as much attention as I normally do. When I first saw it, I thought, what, are they making a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series? And I missed the news. And then I read it and I'm like, oh, this is the Aquaman series. And then I looked closer at the picture. I'm like, these look like grown-up characters in the Powerpuff Girls universe. Listen, if you're making some kind of a spoof series or something along the lines of Teen Titans Go, where you're just appealing to that, almost parodical, if you will, style, where you're doing it for the giggles and everything, I get why you'd use this kind of animation. But if this is actually, set to the tune of what the movie is, and you're trying to carry that spirit as a bridge between the first and second films, I'm not sure why this choice was made. And I'm going to reserve any real judgment to it as until I see it and, actually view the show to know what I'm talking about. But this animation choice doesn't seem to be getting anybody's hand raised in the air, with a fist pump of joy or anything.
And as I'm looking at the info about this, so executive producers James Wan, Michael Clear, Bob Hackett, and Sam Register, Teen Titans Go. Sam Register does Teen Titans Go. And then the show running duties are being handled by Victor Courtwright, who does Thundercats Roar, and Marley Halpern Grazer, who did Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So there you go. You got someone working on this who did Teen Titans Go and someone who did Thundercats Roar. Brendan?
I'm going to be really hypocritical here because I'm always someone when people, blow up at just seeing a still image of something, of going, it's a still image. Like, we have no idea what this is going to look like. It's the first look. Give it a chance, whatever else. But this was shit. I'm sorry. Like, kind of like what Jamie was saying. If they just come out and said, we're going to do an Aquaman cartoon, and then they release this, I'd be like, oh, well, this isn't something that looks like I'll enjoy, but it's the first image. When you come out, 18 months ago or however long ago it was, and say you're going to do an animated show or 3-part series, whatever it is, that bridges the gap between two movies, and then you show this, that's a big leap. They did something similar way back, when they released, what was it called? The Batman one that had all the anime sort of style shorts. Gotham Knight.
Gotham Knight, yeah.
That was, it was sort of marketed as a, between, set between the two movies. But it was so far removed from those two movies, it doesn't tie in.
Yeah, where you're like, is it really? Is it?
Yeah.
Did Christopher Nolan really give his thumbs up on this?
And this is kind of, I think, going to be worse than that. Like, it just doesn't fit. Like, I think when you tweeted it, that was the first time I saw it, and my response was like, I thought Harley Quinn was going to be the fun one, and the Aquaman one was going to be, you know, sort of the more serious, more in line with the movies. Like, this is just so far removed from that. I don't like the art style. I mean, the story could be great, but I think I'd have a tough time sitting through it just because I don't like the aesthetics of it. Just based on that photo, I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it surprises me, but I don't have any faith in it. I think this approach is a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with both you guys. If it was literally like, hey, we're doing an Aquaman cartoon, and they were just upfront, they're like, we're doing a kids Aquaman cartoon. It's going to be in the spirit of Teen Titans Go and Thundercats Roar. It's for kids, and you'd go, okay, fine, and then you'd see this and go, okay, that's what they said it was going to be. Like, it's not for me, it's for kids to get into Aquaman, fine. But the fact that they were like, oh no, we're doing an animated miniseries that's going to take place right after the film, and the film's director is going to executive produce, your brain goes to other places. And I understand the argument of like, not, you know, it's okay to make things for kids. Absolutely. It's okay to make things for adults. Absolutely. But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to make something for both. And by making this choice, they're basically saying, it's not for you guys. We don't care if you watch it. And great, because I'm not as interested anymore. Yeah, I hate the art. I hate it. I hate the art for Thundercats Roar. I think it's hideous. I don't care if it's funny. That's great that it's funny. But I just hate the art. It's ugly as hell. And I don't know why it's why it's become a thing. That, like, this style of animation that's so hideous is, like, in right now. So, I don't know. There was a way to choose another style that was still accessible to kids, but doesn't look like garbage. And so
you could have done it. You could have done it in the exact animation style of Young Justice.
Well, that would be. I mean, that would be my perfect world.
Even Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
is more.
Yeah, like Young Justice, I consider like the perfect art style for anything comic book. But like, you didn't even have to go that far. But like, this is just so far in the other direction that I'm like, what are you doing? It's hideous. And like, yeah, it just makes you go, okay, you're not taking it seriously. It's all for a joke. Ha ha. So will I watch it? I'll probably give it a shot. It's still Aquaman. It's on HBO Max. I'll give it a shot. But like, no. I mean, even if I go, it's not as bad as I thought, which is very possible. I just, I'm going to have a really hard time getting over this art style because it's gross.
And that's the thing. I mean, a story can be fantastic, but the design and the aesthetics do count. I mean, like, I literally cannot hold a comic that Sam Keith has done the art for. Like, I don't care how great the story is.
Don't even get me started.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's that sort of thing. Like, I just can't. The story could be the greatest Batman story ever written, but if Sam Keith did the art, I can't physically do it.
I had a friend in high school that loved Sam Keith, and I'm like, dude, don't talk to me. Just stop.
But it's the same sort of thing here. Like, it's not nice to look at. It really isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
Ironically, he loved Sam Keith and he hated Todd McFarlane. Figure that one out.
Yeah, I know. So this was so disappointing when I saw it. I was like, no, not really. Oh, yep, really. So
I haven't seen any of the other photos that were released. I'm assuming they're in the same.
Yeah, they're the same. It's very consistent. Yep.
I wonder if they'll do like a Sonic the Hedgehog and go, Jesus, the fans hated that. Let's go back and redraw it.
I'm going to say no.
I doubt it. Because again, like, it seems like based on this, they're going, we don't care about what the fans think. This is for little kids.
I mean, if they're doing it for some measure of artistic expression or whatnot, whatever. I'm still going to watch the show, and I'll judge it when I see it actually in front of me versus just the stills. And it may be one of those things, I've read comics for years that I didn't really think that the art was great in, or a particular artist style doesn't mesh with me. Like, people, I adore Frank Miller. I love his style and everything else, but I'll be the first in line to tell you he's not the greatest artist in the world. And I am aware of this. And I know a lot of people are even very much put off by his art style. And I get that. I do. But I'm more interested in the story, the characters, the presentation, all of that stuff versus the aesthetics in most cases. But so far, I'm not. I like what Andy said. My enthusiasm is just non-existent for this now.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Aquaman. But we are getting more of The Flash because guess what, guys? Allegedly, they've started filming The Flash. I've seen nothing. I've seen nothing that is true confirmation other than they said they've begun production. So I want a photo. I want a photo of the set to know that it's actually happening. But for now, we're going to take their word for it. Apparently, they're starting.
I'm sure
I've stated before,
one of
and
us
I'm
has
gonna-
said. Go ahead,
I've stated before, and I'm going to reiterate. This is Young Justice Season 3 for me. Until I see a trailer, it does not exist.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure I've said, I'll believe it when hell freezes over, and this week, it appears most of America did. So, not saying America's hell, but you know what I mean. Maybe it's true.
There's a city in Michigan named Hell.
Well, there you go.
Wow. Neither here nor there, but it is February 21st, and today in Beijing it was 72 degrees.
Is that cold?
You might want to get the bleep button ready if you're going to tell me something like that.
No, that is delightfully warm.
Okay.
That's like mid-May to late.
Yeah, and then it gets cold again in 2 days. It was just like this weird blip of this weekend where it got all nice and springtime, and then it's going to go back to cold for another few weeks. Anyway, sorry, we're not here to talk about the weather, but The Flash apparently is beginning production. That's great news. I'm excited, but that also came with some unexpected news. What's funny is that what was making the rounds was just this video of Andy Muschietti, or might be Muschietti. You might say the C. I feel like maybe he says the C. Muschietti.
Just call him A Mush.
I just call him Andy.
That doesn't get confusing.
Yeah.
Because you also refer to yourself in the third person.
It's true. Andy does do that a lot. Andy agrees. But it's just so Andy. It's classic Andy. You know what I mean? Anyway, there was a video of Andy Muschietti going around, and I didn't even know what it was. I feel like I got tagged in it, but nobody really said what it was. Or people were retweeting it just going, oh, this made my day or whatever. And I was like, what's going on? Again, waking up, half asleep, being like, oh, something's going on. And I watch it. And it was kind of fun to watch it, having no context for what it was, other than I recognized Andy Muschietti. And it's him talking to an actress named Sasha Calle. And he's on a video chat with her, and he said he had to ask her some questions, and she's like, oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, happy to answer any questions. And he asked her if she can fly. And she goes, no, but I want to. And he goes, well, good, because we're going to need you to fly for us. You're Supergirl. And so they captured on video her learning that she had won the role of Supergirl in the Flash film. He even pulled up a little costume that seemed very reminiscent of the Henry Cavill Man of Steel costume. And he was like, yep, you're going to be wearing this. You're Supergirl. She was elated. She was excited. She freaked out. It was joyous. It truly was. Like seeing someone's life change in front of your eyes.
Guy Milks' heart grew 3 sizes that day.
It's still got 2 more to go, but it's a start. And so not only did we learn that Supergirl is going to be in The Flash, we learned that this actress, Sasha Calle, who is from The Young and the Restless, she has won the role. So...
Don't none of y'all out there act like you don't watch Young and Restless now.
I don't. I mean, I can't even pretend to.
I had to look her up on IMDb. First thing I noticed was her birthday, and I was like, oh my God, she's like super young. And then I did the math in my head. I'm like, idiot, she's 26.
Not that.
It didn't register naturally with me that somebody born in 1995 is now 26.
Yeah, you're just really old.
Yes, because I graduated high school in 1993. So yes, I'm very old.
Wait, did you say she was born in 1996?
95.
95. Okay, 95. Anyway, so yeah, I obviously didn't know her, never heard of her, but she was perfectly charming in this little video, especially once you saw how excited she got. But yeah, Jamie, what are your thoughts about Supergirl and the Flash, and then Sasha Calle?
First of all, I just watched the video this morning because I thought maybe we'd be talking about it on the show. I noticed that our pal Guy Milks had posted the tweet link in the group, and I saw some of the conversation that people had about it. I'm like, oh, Supergirl, and I thought, oh, okay, that's cool and everything, but I didn't see the video. I didn't see who she was or anything. It wasn't a name I was familiar with, so I was like, all right, whatever. So watched it this morning before we recorded so that I had some context. And she's a lovely young lady. And I'm just really super glad that I'm not like hyper active on social media, especially not Twitter right now, because I can only begin to imagine what people must be saying about, well, is the Flash going to be in the Flash movie now? Yeah.
Oh, it's there.
You know what's funny?
It does seem busy. It does seem busy, but again, there's no context. We don't know how much the two Batmen are going to be in it. We don't know how much she's going to be in it. These could all be cameos. We
like
don't
I pointed
have any
out to
idea.
someone on Twitter yesterday, like people were saying BVS was so crowded, but like all the other members of the Justice League were in it for like maybe a minute and a half, if that. And Diana popped up here and there, but she was only in the finale, like the climactic scene. But we have no context for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as far as I'm concerned, number one, I'm excited that Supergirl's finally going to get in the movie mix. I think that's really good news. I like the character. I like the potential that using her in there. Our pal Julian Chan expressed some disappointment that we now have this news, but we still have no news of Cavill. And I sort of agree. It is disappointing that we don't seem to have any movement, at least that we're aware of, on that front right now, because I definitely enjoy Cavill's Superman. I hope this is not a move to replace him with her. I truly hope that. But I kind of have a feeling that's what we're dealing with.
What's funny is you mentioned that, it's out there, people being like, oh, is the Flash going to be in the Flash? Like, or too many characters or whatever, all that stuff. And what's funny is I saw almost none of that. All I saw were people disagreeing with that, which again just confirms that I usually follow better people. Because I'm sure there were. Based on some of the conversations, it did seem there were complaints about this. There were complaints about what the hell is Supergirl doing in a Flash movie. There were complaints. Well, what about Superman? And then there were complaints about she's not blonde and she's not white. None of those are an issue for me. But yeah, it's funny because apparently that was all going on, but very little of it was directly from the people I follow. It was mostly people, sort of debating those points. More than anything.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. Yeah.
So anyway, Brendan, thoughts?
This is the first. I think I mentioned it before briefly. Like, long story short, is our Facebook feeds in Australia now, we don't get any things from official news sources. Like, it's a whole thing with the government. Anyway, this was where it really kind of threw me a curveball. This is the first one because
I'm sorry to interject here, but if it makes you feel any better, that's how it works in America too. But it's not because it's not available to us. It's because most of us choose to get our news from memes.
Okay, fair enough.
Accurate.
But yeah, this is where it really got me because I woke up and I guarantee if things hadn't changed this week, probably the first thing in my feed would have been something like from, I don't know, Entertainment Weekly or Hollywood Reporter or something like that. And I would have gone, oh shit. And then seen in Real Fans the video or seen the video on Twitter. But yeah, I saw the video with no context. And I was just like, what the hell am I, what? And I even commented on the thing in Real Fans. I'm like, what? Like, I don't understand. And then I went over to Twitter and started getting more of the story of what's going on. And when I realized that, look, yeah, she's been cast as Supergirl in The Flash, I was really happy. Like, I kind of weirdly get Gal vibes from her. Just in terms of her reaction seems very genuine. She seems very excited. I mean, obviously she's she's got that ethnicity to her, which that doesn't worry me. Supergirl's a Kryptonian. Like, that could be anything. It could be a suitcase. That's a deep cut joke for you. But I don't have any issue with her aesthetically. Like, there's been some fan art and Photoshop where someone blonded up the hair a bit and everything. It looks good, but she looks fine as a brunette too. Like, it doesn't worry me. I saw someone arguing the point on Twitter that people had said they could think of 10 other actresses better for the role than her, and it's like, okay, cool. You can name 10. They saw over 400, and she got the role.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, they saw something, or she did something special to get that role. And last night I sort of jumped on YouTube and sort of typed, searched for her and Young the Restless and watched like a 5-minute clip, which normally the acting in those shows, I mean, they're known for being bad. But in terms of like the acting on a soap, like, she was really good. Like, she didn't seem to have that. I mean, this is just a scene that I saw, but she didn't seem to have that. Like, she looked like she was, acting well as opposed to soap opera acting. So I was like, okay, cool. That's encouraging as well.
But does she do the smell the fart acting like Dr. Drake Ramore?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, she doesn't do that sort of stuff. Like, she looked like she could have been acting in a movie and not a soap opera, and not be out of her depth. So and that's the other thing where I sort of get Gal vibes, is like, I knew nothing about her before she got cast as Wonder Woman. And again, it's like, people will never learn. Like, everyone lost their mind when Gal got cast as Wonder Woman, and now Gal is Wonder Woman. Everyone
that's just it. I was scared of the Gal Gadot casting for Wonder Woman, because the only thing I knew her in to that point was the Fast and Furious movies, and they barely let her talk in those. And I was like, ooh, that's not a good sign that they're barely letting somebody talk in one of these movies, because, they're not exactly known for their stellar acting either. And I think she's phenomenal.
She's perfection. She is. She is Wonder Woman.
Assuming that Muschietti had some hands-on involvement with the selection of the cast for the It movies that he made, he's got a pretty good eye for young acting talent, and that was even younger than what we're talking about with this girl here. So,
yeah.
If you're saying they interviewed 400 candidates and this girl got it,
it was like 400.
There's probably a reason she got it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm stoked for her. The video was awesome, really heartwarming, which is great. I'm really keen to see what they do. This Flash movie is I mean, people are saying about it being overstuffed and it not being about the Flash and blah blah blah. But again, we don't know the context. But like, it can still be about the Flash, but the Flash is part of a greater DC universe, and I kind of like the fact that, I know it's different, but I've had 7 years, maybe around that, 6-7 years of watching the Flash, nearly every week for the majority of a year. And, now I'm going to get to see a big screen version. And I guess sort of a way they're going to make it different is they're really upping the ante. Like, this is going to be, yes, it'll be a Flash movie, but it's going to be a true DC movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, maybe not in their first movies, like, I get it, but like Civil War was the first time you saw Black Panther, first time you saw Spider-Man and things like that. Like, this to me seems like it's going to be like that. Maybe not even to that degree, but I'm excited for it because it sounds like it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I have a lot of thoughts. My first thought is that it's funny, after the Michael Keaton news and then the Ben Affleck news, the fact that they're going to be involved in the film. so many websites out there or wannabe scoopers were throwing everything at the wall, going, "Oh, Michelle Pfeiffer is going to be in it. Danny DeVito is going to be in it. I feel like there were others. Brandon Routh is going to be in it." And of all of those, attempted scoops, nobody said Supergirl. Nobody. Which I think is awesome. Like, I love that they were able to pull one over on us, even in the midst of this scoop game where everybody's trying to outscoop everybody else. The fact that Supergirl was in this film and none of us knew it until this video was really great. It's such a nice surprise to be surprised in this day and age where everything gets spoiled every other minute. So I think that is awesome. She seems delightful. I mean, at least in this video, she's charming as all get out. And to your point, Brendan, they auditioned over 400 actors from all over the world to play this role. She won the role. Great. There had to be a reason for that. As Jamie said, the cast in the 2 It films was spectacular. The casting was spot on. So I'm going to give Andy Muschietti the benefit of the doubt on this one. And also, what's wrong with casting a young up-and-comer and giving them an opportunity like this that's going to change their whole life? Why does it have to be an established, already famous actor? It can be someone new, a fresh face. Have you ever heard of a little guy named Christopher Reeve?
Yeah.
Do you know where he came from? Soap operas.
Yeah. So
there's some good pedigree there. Brunette or blonde, whatever. I'm fine with whatever. Supergirl's... So the most important thing about Supergirl is not her hair color. I said the same thing about Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Yeah, I'd like him to get a haircut, but at the end of the day, is the most important thing about Aquaman his hair? No. So it's fine. Same thing here. Doesn't matter. Whatever. So good for her. I think it's great. I love a little bit of diversity. I think that's important too. We definitely need more roles for blonde hair, blue-eyed white people. We definitely need more of that. That's what we're lacking in this day and age.
To be fair, the current Justice League lineup has like 0 of that, but just the same, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? So I think it's awesome.
My personal preference for the aesthetic would be to have the traditional looking Supergirl, but like you're saying, that is like the bottom rung of my meaningful ladder there. I don't. That's the last thing in the world I'm going to gripe about with this.
Yeah, if it was up to me, would I dye her hair? Sure, because guess what? Let's think back a few years, shall we? When they cast Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, she's a brunette. And when they cast her, there were people like, wait, they can't cast her. She's not blonde. Turned out fine.
I actually forgot that.
Yeah.
Well, they also tried that with Jessica Alba to not very much success as far as I'm concerned. But hey, what are you going to do?
That is, I think that's the least of the problems with that casting. So I have no issue with that. And then the whole thing of like getting mad at this because it somehow negates Henry Cavill as Superman, I don't buy that either. I think this has nothing to do with that. If they wanted Henry Cavill as Superman, they would take Henry Cavill as Superman. The two things have nothing to do with one another. I seeing that, I'm just like, I feel, and the people complaining about, I don't want a Flash movie that explores these things. I want a Flash movie that's this. I want a Flash movie that's this. And I think comic book movie fans are the kids who, on Christmas, they get an unexpected and thoughtful gift, and they open it, and then they throw it into the Christmas tree going, that's not what I wanted. Because we didn't...
That may be the most apt thing you ever said.
Because nobody promised a Supergirl. No one expected Supergirl. It's a cool, nice surprise, and yet somehow we're still going to complain about it? For real?
Of course we are.
Oh my God. So anyway, I'm all for it. And
I just want to re-clarify what I was saying, where I kind of thought that my feeling, this is just personally a feeling, that they're maybe doing this as a shift to replace Cavill with her. I'm not saying especially in today's modern DC fandom of knowing God only knows what possibilities are out there for what we're going to see in the years to come because of this whole multiverse door being open thing. But my gut feeling is she's kind of the insurance policy in case they don't get Cavill back or don't get a new Superman or anything. It's just they have that power set in place with her just in case. That's kind of where I'm sitting at.
And maybe, who knows? But again, I think that situation will be determined on its own regardless of this. I think it's awesome. I'm into it. And then, yeah, the other point I want to make, and Brendan, you kind of made it for me, is there are different ways to approach a Flash movie. And they certainly could do a Flash movie that's about the Flash in Central City and his relationship with Iris and him taking on the Rogues. Like, yeah, that could have been the Flash's universe, right? The Flash's universe movie. They're deciding to use the Flash to make a DC universe movie. It's a different approach. Maybe it's not what you would have chosen. Honestly, it's probably not what I would have chosen if 5 years ago they'd have given me the keys to the Flash movie. It's an unexpected approach. Doesn't mean it's a bad one or a wrong one. It's actually kind of cool and kind of exciting as far as I'm concerned. So the fact that it's a greater DC Universe film and we're using the Flash as our host with the most to do that is pretty damn awesome. And Andy Muschietti said at Fandom, which feels like 50 years ago at this point, he even said, he goes, it's Barry's story, it's Barry's journey, he's the movie, But like, Barry's going to be exploring the DC universe. He's not going to be exploring Central City. That's okay. It's a different approach. I'm on board. I think that's cool. The fact that he's going to be mixing up with Batman and Supergirl and God knows what else, I can't wait to see what they've got in store for us. And ever since Andy Muschietti signed on to this project, I've seen nothing from him but passion and excitement and creativity. And after so many false starts.
Longevity.
Yeah, right? After so many false starts for the Flash movie, it seems like they finally got the guy, and it's finally happening, and it's a guy that I can be really excited and get behind, because I love those two It movies, and I love Mama. I think he's a really good filmmaker, and like, his passion for the movie is infectious. His conversation with Sasha Calle was extremely infectious and exciting and charming. And I'm like, this guy can't wait to make this movie. I can't wait to let him.
Well said, everyone.
And that's all I have to say about that. So, Supergirl is coming to the big screen. I'm into it. Someone did point out, though, sure, nobody saw it coming for The Flash, but they did announce that this is the last season for the Supergirl show. So it did feel like maybe that's a hint of things to come. But we've heard murmurs of a Supergirl movie for a couple of years now. Does that mean Sasha Calle will get her own movie? Maybe. Depends on, see what happens. But very, very much possible. But Melissa Benoist was wonderful in the role for 6 years, has it been? Is that right?
I think so, yeah. I think it's 6 seasons.
Oh my God, 6 years. How'd that go so fast? I remember sitting at Comic-Con being excited to watch the first episode. Oy, so that's great.
Quickly too. We're only like a couple of days away from Superman and Lois too.
Yeah, that's true too. But Melissa Benoist sent out a really nice, charming, I think it was an Instagram thing, just welcoming Sasha Calle and congratulating her. And then Laura Vandervoort did the same thing. She was Supergirl on Smallville. So nice to see the sorority of Supergirls supporting each other. So congratulations to Sasha Calle. I can't wait to see you in the cape. Make your hair color whatever the fuck you want it to be. So, exciting things to come. But in just a few short weeks, we're going to get to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. And a lot of our friends who don't live in the United States of America were starting to get nervous. Starting to sweat, going, how am I going to watch it? When do I get to see it? In fact, I don't mean to call this guy out. Listener and friend of the show, his name is John. Every post about Justice League in the past month, he would reply, what about us in the UK? I'm like, I don't know. Why are you asking me? I don't know. But so folks not living in the States were worried about, like, how am I going to get to see it? What if I don't have HBO Max? So guess what? Everybody's fears were finally put to rest this week. Zack Snyder announced on Twitter that Zack Snyder's Justice League. Zack Snyder will also be available worldwide, just himself. You can rent him out for your parties. I plan to bring
He
in...
does refer to himself in third person on Twitter.
I mean, he has to.
Hashtags his own name.
Yeah, he has to, which is so weird. I'm going to have to do that too. Andy DiGenova's Holy BatCast. Release the DiGenova cut. It's just with all the swear words and the cuts in there.
I was going to say it's just a bunch of... No, I'm not going to make you have to bleep it. A lot of C words getting thrown around. Anyway.
So, here's what he says. Zack Snyder's Justice League will be available worldwide in all markets on the same day as the United States on March 18th via on-demand, digital download, linear, or streaming. Linear? What does he mean by linear? Like pay-per-view? What's linear? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
That I'm not sure of.
Yeah, that one I thought was weird. He says platform availability will depend on each territory with the exception of China, France, and Japan, where the release dates are still TBD. Additional details for specific markets will be shared soon. So, good thing I don't live in China. Am I right? But anyway, for everybody who doesn't live in China, France, or Japan, don't worry. There will be some way for you to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. And Brendan, I think you said it's on one of your streaming services. It was announced while you were asleep.
I woke up and the news that Snyder tweeted out hadn't long broken. Like, I'm talking within sort of 30 minutes. Within an hour of that, streaming service over here, Binge, they announced that they were the ones that were getting it. So when he said that international markets, news would be coming soon, it was very soon for here in Australia. I think I saw someone mention that Canada, it was on a streaming service over there. So I think that's already been announced. I think there's been an announcement for the UK. I think theirs might be more of a pay on demand type situation. Don't quote me on that though. But yeah, I was stoked. I think I'd said ages ago on this show, there's a couple of streaming services over here, and my money was either going to Binge or Stan. But Binge seemed like they're tied up with Foxtel, and Foxtel get all the HBO stuff. Stan gets some of it. But yeah, I was always of the opinion that Binge was going to get it, and they did. So I'm already a subscriber. It drops here on the Thursday, the 18th. I think it's my time zone. I think it's 6 p.m., 5 or 6 p.m. And I've already arranged for two of my friends to come over, and we're going to do a viewing party that night, sit down and get some takeout and watch the whole thing. Thankfully, I've got a late start the next morning at work because I'm doing the hospital tour that day of the maternity ward and everything. So yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. I mean, let's be honest. I was going to watch it by any means necessary anyway. But the fact that I don't have to do that, I don't have to sail the seven seas, is really exciting. And I'm just, it's already on their homepage here on Binge. So yeah, it's great. I'm so happy that when they said it was going to be announced soon, like I said, it was within the hour. So really, really happy at how things have turned out.
Nice. So I'm happy for everyone except myself in China. I didn't expect it here anyway, but fortunately I have access to HBO Max because they actually have a function where I just scan my passport into HBO Max and they go, "Oh, you're American," and then they let me use it.
Fair enough.
It's so handy, so that's great. But yeah, I mean, I knew it was a long shot to be able to see it in theaters here, so it's fine. But I'm glad that almost everyone will have a chance to see this in a way that is convenient for them, so that's super cool. So great news as far as that goes. And then we also got another little gift about Zack Snyder's Justice League. We got to hear the first piece of score from Junkie XL / Tom Holkenberg. This was tweeted out by Ray Fisher, and then Zack Snyder, and then Junkie XL himself, and then I think everybody else. The first track from the score, and it is called... What's it called? The Crew
Something
at
in
War Power.
War Power, that's right.
Yeah, The Crew.
I keep
at
thinking War Room, but War Power.
War Power. So this you sent it to me initially, and I went, "Oh, is this real?" And you're like, "Yeah, like it was tweeted out by all the real people." And I went, "Oh, great!" So I listened to it, and well, you shared it with me first, Brendan. So your thoughts on The Crew at War Power?
I really dug it, and like, I know you're the score guy. We've had this conversation before a number of times. Like, I can appreciate a good score, but I rarely sit and just like listen to a score. But this was awesome. This is the kind of score that I could just sit and listen to. I was really reminded of Oil Rig from Man of Steel in the way that there's a lot of percussion in this song. And I do, like, for some reason, I don't know what it is, like, I love percussion.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really great. And this is kind of like Oil Rig, but 6 minutes long, but also kind of with almost like a rock, like an electric guitar in there. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So if the rest of the score is, of this feel, this is one I'll definitely just put on and listen to, because it was friggin' awesome. I loved it.
Yeah. And Jamie, you steering clear of social media, can't say as I blame you, but it means you sometimes miss these things. So I don't think you got a chance to listen to this, did you?
No, I did not.
Well, maybe.
But hey, the good news is I'll be surprised when I actually watch the movie.
There you have it. You can enjoy it at that point. I mean, I found it to be very consistent with the score for Batman vs. Superman, which Junkie XL worked with Hans Zimmer on. I do think that it felt like in the same vein. It had that sound, that same sound of sort of the Batman theme of the dun, 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 dun. It had that, but just not quite as harsh. But it was still in that family. But it definitely was a little more epic and a little grander than that. So I like that it felt like a companion to the score for Batman vs. Superman, but still had its own flair, its own flavor. I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was great. It was super cool. It's a nice long track. It's like 6 minutes. It was very promising. So I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But yeah, this was a really nice surprise to get this week.
For sure.
Jamie, check that out in all your free time.
I'll just see it when I watch the movie in a couple weeks.
For your birthday, I'll send you a link.
I know where the link's at. I'm too lazy to do it.
Brendan sends you photos of his wife, and I will send you a link to some Justice League music. Everybody wins. Well, okay. Anyway.
Just for the record, too, that photo is one I shared on social media. It's nothing salacious.
Sure, Jan. All right. Well, there you go. Very cool. I can't wait to get the whole score because, yeah, as you said, I live for this stuff. So super cool. The movie is just a few weeks away. I think it's 3.5 weeks at this point, which is very, very cool. So obviously we're going to talk about that as we get closer. But that, I think, is about it for the news for the week. There was a lot. Great week in news. Good stuff. Lots to be excited about. It is good to be a DC fan. But now, as always, we're going to check in with you, fine feathered finks, as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It is time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all Master Wayne.
I love how he's adopted this fine feathered finks as a regular thing now. It's great.
I need to use it more in real life. It's just too fun. All right, first message here is from our pal Tom Fallows. It says, hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer. It looks amazing. My question is this. With Kong versus Godzilla coming out, do you think they should do a Batman versus Rocky movie? Glad you finally watched the first Rocky, Andy. Thanks for the podcast, Tom Fallows. Thanks, Tom. So, yeah, what do you think of Batman versus Rocky movie, Jamie?
I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't watch it, but I don't know that it's very high on my wish list.
I mean, Batman would win, though, is the problem. Like,
Well,
come
yeah.
on. Like, is that much of a fight? Also, Rocky is like 80 years old.
Rocky had a struggle against Thunder Lips, so I'm not sure that, yeah.
He got his ass handed to him by Tommy the Machine Gun.
That movie doesn't exist, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm pretty sure it is. What the sad part is, as Tom said, I saw that movie before I ever watched the original.
That's criminal.
I know, but yeah, what can I say? It was the one that came out when I was, well, it would always be on cable when it was new, and I'd just watch it. So anyway, Brendan, thoughts, feelings?
I pass. I have no interest in seeing that.
I think he's just being a smart guy, is what I think.
That's what I think too.
All right, next message is from Mike G. It says, "Hey guys, simple question. Everyone seems really excited about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but allegedly in 2017, WB executives thought that his cut was unwatchable. What if this is really the case and the movie isn't good?" Mike, thanks for the question. It's an interesting question. Jamie?
It's not without a valid point. I mean, it's just a matter of taste. I mean, people either like Zack or they don't. They didn't like what Zack did. And, frankly, I'm not sure exactly how close to his original vision for this movie this is anyway, because it seems to me there's a lot of stuff that's been tweaked or added in. I even made this comment the other day that this is going to be the first movie that's been made 3 times. And somewhere George Lucas is smiling.
He's like, that's my boy. I will say this, and I guess this should have been in the news, but there was so much I forgot about it, is Deborah Snyder did an interview, and she said the only new scene that they shot was the scene in the Nightmare with Batman, the Joker, and Deathstroke. So the only reshoot that happened was that one scene that she said was about 3 minutes long. The rest of it is all what was previously shot.
Did Affleck show up for that?
It seems like he did.
Okay. Just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I've heard conflicting stories.
Yeah.
Somebody said the other day in the Real Fans group that like all the mainstays showed up to tweak their stuff except for Cavill was the only one that didn't show up, or they didn't ask to show up, or I don't even know. I don't even know how accurate it is. You know how crap flies on the internet. So
Yeah. Brendan, what do you think? If WB thought the movie was unwatchable in 2017, what does that mean now that we get to see the movie?
I mean, that was back at a time where like the people in charge were very hands-on and tampering with a lot of stuff. So maybe what was unwatchable to them hopefully is very watchable to the fans. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I mean, that, there's a lot of stuff cut from BVS that, with it in there makes the film very watchable. So, I'm positive. I hope it will all be fine. I mean, look, at the end of the day, some people, after March 18, someone's going to be vindicated. It's either going to be, Zack Snyder and his legion of diehard fans who have been fighting for this movie and it is everything they want it to be, or it's going to be the other side of people going, told ya, there's a reason why we did what we did. I don't think that's going to be the case.
I expect both sides are going to think that they've been vindicated, regardless.
Yes.
Actually, you're probably right there too. What am I? I'm sorry, I'm using logic where it doesn't apply.
I think that's exactly what will happen.
I'm already delighted that I have extremely limited social media access in these more recent days, so I don't have to see the shitstorm that is going, not possibly, is going to fly in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. I always thought that it's unwatchable. Always felt like hyperbole to me anyway. So that always seemed extreme. But what I do think is I think that when we see the movie, I think, well, at least, some of us more level-headed folks will be able to watch it and go, I get why WB was nervous. I get it. Doesn't mean I agree, but Zack Snyder has never been one to hold back. He has never been one, to play it safe. And it was true for Man of Steel. It was definitely true for Batman vs. Superman. And it certainly seems like it's true for Justice League. And because of the divisive reaction to Batman vs. Superman, when they watched his cut of Justice League, my guess is they went, this is not going to please a lot of people again.
Well, that's exactly right, dude. Like, I understand why they were nervous.
Yeah.
BVS did what it did, and it seems like he upped the ante even more in Justice League. Like, I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Yeah. So I think that's what it is.
The part that never made sense to me with it is what Andy has always said, in that they had an opportunity after Man of Steel. I mean, first of all, he was like the 5th director down on the list to do Man of Steel. Like, he was a hired gun at that point. It wasn't even a matter of, this was his vision or any. I mean, obviously he was the director of the film. He put his own, take on things, but he wasn't anywhere near the top of the choice to do that film initially. And then with BVS, they let him double down and do it his own way. And then with Justice League, they just suddenly decided that wasn't what they were going to do anymore. And Man of Steel did 600, BVS did 800. Who knows what Justice League would have done if they'd have just let him do what he was doing anyway, regardless of what, vocal backlash would have said against it. I mean, regardless of what happened, Justice League was a financial bomb at the box office anyway. So at that point, what did they have to lose by not letting him do it the way he wanted to do it? I've said it right along. They chopped that movie to death. They reshot it, redid it. There's some slop. Look, I like the theatrical cut of Justice League. I do. I still do. And I don't have any problem admitting that out loud. But it's a sloppy movie in a lot of parts and in a lot of ways. They should have just let him finish it off and ditch him after that. Or they should have ditched him after Man of Steel. There was no sense to me whatsoever that they decided 80% of the way through the production of this movie that they were going to backtrack and redo everything. It never sat right with me, and it still doesn't.
No, that's just it. If you don't like what he does, don't hire him. If you like what he does, support him. And they did both. They hired him and then didn't support him. So come on, choose a lane. That's neither here nor there. That's going down a whole other road. The point is, do I think that when we see this, that we'll understand why WB was nervous? Probably. I think that there are going to be things in here where you go, yeah, I get why they were nervous. You like it or you don't. To Jamie's point, it's a matter of taste. So to Brendan's point, all the people who are excited for it, who loved Batman vs. Superman, are going to love Justice League. That's a pretty safe bet. Everybody who hated Batman vs. Superman is going to hate Justice League. That's a pretty safe bet. Can't please all the people all the time. So for the folks who hated Batman vs. Superman, this one's not for you. I hope the next one is. All right, next message is from our pal Chris, the Objective Geek. It says, "Hey guys, hope you're doing well. My question is about the Snyder Cut and what could be a huge plot hole. How would you like them to explain that General Swanwick was Martian Manhunter the whole time, but didn't help in Man of Steel or BVS? What I think they could do is say that he, in his years on Earth following the death of his family, fellow Martians and home planet, he lost all hope and was overcome with such despair that in order to relieve himself of his pain, he psychically wiped his own memory and personality and became Calvin Swanwick. But after witnessing the resurrection of Kal-El, who is also the last son of another dead planet and the embodiment of hope, and watching as Superman protects his adopted home, Earth, Martian Manhunter is inspired and breaks the psychic hold he has on himself and becomes John Jones again." Sorry for the long email. Thank you for reading. All right, Chris. Well, that's a theory. Jamie, thoughts?
This is like the biggest question mark I have on this, because I mean, I know you just said that she said the only thing that they reshot or redid or any of that stuff was that nightmare sequence with those additional characters, but this really feels like a retcon to me. I can't logically make sense of how they're going to slide him in as Martian Manhunter with this, or what explanation could or should be offered for him not offering assistance during the Battle of Metropolis or the Doomsday fight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not saying that the explanation isn't there or the logic isn't there. It's just I can't get my head around it, and this doesn't feel organic to me. Having this reveal of him being Manhunter, I don't know.
Yeah, Brendan.
I think it could be a case of, he came to Earth and took on the disguise, and then Kal-El showed up, and he's like, oh, excellent. Let's see how the world reacts to this guy. And then saw how the world reacted to him. He's like, nah, F that shit. And he's just going to stay as General Swanwick. And then obviously with the events of Justice League, they upped the ante. But it does seem like a bit of a retcon, but I'm excited to see how they do it. I haven't given it nearly as much thought as was it Chris?
Yeah.
But I'm just excited to see how it all comes together.
I mean, I agree. I think we all agree is that it's tricky. It's definitely a retcon, and the trick is going to be presenting it in a way that makes you go, okay, I can buy that. Chris, your theory, I hear it, but it also sounds like a whole mini-series unto itself. So I don't know if they'd be able to fit that in with everything else happening in Justice League, because it just feels a little complicated. For me, I feel like the best way to do it would be that Martian Manhunter was not General Swanwick during Man of Steel or maybe even BVS. That somewhere along the way, he took his place.
I like where your head's at with that, Andy. I really do.
So that's where I would go. All right, next message. What do we got? This is from Brandon. It says, hello, Aiden, Jimmy, and Brock.
What?
Who and what and how?
He says, just kidding. It's just random. Aiden, Jimmy, and Brock. I guess that's us. We sound like a boy band. He says, hopefully your social media mentions after wading into the DC Marvel debate last episode were kind. Personally, I found your perspectives relatable and reasonable. Now to my questions. Brendan has said previously that he enjoys the Batman, and I'm wondering how he feels about the Larry Hama and Ed Brubaker runs on Batman from the early 2000s. I just recently read these, and they reminded me a lot of that animated series. They take place between No Man's Land and Hush, and represent an interesting time between those eras. While I wouldn't suggest it to every Batman fan, I think there's some forgotten gold that would be mined for projects outside of comics. I also wanted to ask Andy if he's read Generations Shattered. It's the follow-up to the last story in Detective Comics 1027. If I remember, you weren't very impressed with the story, but it's co-written by Dan Jurgens, and as a fan of Armageddon 2001, I think it's a story you'd enjoy. The conclusion should be coming out soon, but the first part came out in January. It's been a long day. I'm not sure how to end this email, so I hope you guys are doing well, and thanks for creating a great podcast, Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. Okay, so I think I know the answer, but Brendan, the Ed Brubaker and Larry Hama run on Batman, that reminds him of The Batman, the animated series.
Don't know if I've read that. I've read Hush. I'm pretty sure I've got the trade of, was it War Games? It's not ringing a bell. Like if I knew what the collection of it was called or something, like maybe I may have read it, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's a recommendation. And The Batman is now on HBO Max. And I tweeted out the little thumbnail artwork they created was hilarious. Because they basically took Justice League Batman and smacked him in the middle. But then they put The Batman, Robin, and Batgirl off to the side. And I was like, this seems a little suspect to me. As for Generations Shattered, no, I have not read it, especially if it just came out in January. The only thing I keep up with currently is the main Batman book. And then that kind of stuff is stuff that I'll wait to hit DC Universe Infinite and I'll catch up on it then. But I appreciate the recommendation. I'll keep an eye out for it. Thanks, Brandon. All right, next message is from Cam Stewart. It says, hey guys, I wanted to drop a quick thought. Now that DC Universe Infinite is putting that Milestone Comics on the app, I think it'd be a huge mistake for DC to not take advantage of it. Much like Legion of Doom, this is something DC could do and Marvel can't. static, icon, hardware, etc. As a black man, especially in the time we live in now, I think if you bring Milestone into the mix, DC could find lightning in a bottle, whether through movies or TV shows. If you haven't read the Milestone titles, I highly recommend the static and icon titles. Love your show. I listen to every episode. Sorry for the long email. Thanks, Cam. That wasn't that long. It's all good. I agree with you, and I love that this stuff is hitting DC Universe Infinite, so I can dive into it, because I'm not super familiar with it, and I've heard nothing but great things. I always thought Icon looked awesome, but I know nothing about him, and so I think that would be really cool, and you're right, it's a whole nother universe within a universe that they could take advantage of, so good recommendation.
Oh, we missed this in the news segment, and I don't even know if you guys know of the character, but there was what's his name that took over Superman? Bendis.
Yeah.
He had these books that he brought over with him that he did, and he had one called Naomi, and I think they said CW is ordering a pilot for that show based on that comic.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Anyway, just that conversation, that email, it made me think of that.
Oh, well,
for some reason.
Noted. Good. Cool. Next. Oh, there was, I think it was the 2 emails ago where, fortunately, we caught surprisingly little flack for our Marvel DC conversation on the last episode. At least,
I had one person DM me and said they completely agreed with what I said.
Yeah, I got a nice message about it, but I didn't get a single angry one. So thanks, guys. Thank you for understanding. Because it's one of those things where in the moment I felt like I was making sense, and then it was over. I was like, I don't know if what I said made sense. And then I re-listened. I'm like, okay, no, I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
And it was made worse for me because someone pointed out that I said something that isn't a word in the last episode, and I was like, yeah, I was probably delirious through half of that anyway with the amount of medication I was on, but
yeah,
it's
fine.
Must have made sense.
Yeah. All right, next message is from Noah. It says, hey, mild-mannered millionaires by day, just writing in about the announcement of the comic books for Superman 78 and Batman 89. I wondered what your thoughts are on this announcement and if you're excited. Stay safe, crime fighters by night. Well, Noah, this episode was for you. In short, yes, we're excited.
Check the tape.
Heck
Go
yeah.
back to the start.
Can't freaking wait. Sounds so good. All right. Next one is our pal Stuart from Guernsey. It says, hey guys, it's Stuart from Guernsey. 2 weeks ago, I had a phone call from my mom just as I was about to leave the house to go to the shop. She called to say that my nan had died. It was expected, as she'd been suffering with dementia for the past 10 years and had her final stroke a few days before she passed. Even though it was expected, it still doesn't make it any easier. I didn't know what to do with myself. My fiancé said I should still try and go out and keep my mind off things and get away from the madness of our house with our young children around. I got in the car and I put on your latest episode to try and take my mind off things. The intro of the show definitely lifted my spirits with you and Brendan's banter. Fast forward to last Tuesday, and we had my nan's funeral, which, due to us having to go back into lockdown, we had massive restrictions for the service. Only 10 people were allowed at the church. Everyone was spread out, which was horrible, as I could see my mom in pieces and couldn't do a thing about it. It was not the send-off my nan had planned, but we did the best we could. I was extremely nervous on my way to the church, so again, I stuck on the latest show of Holy BatCast to try and distract myself. After the service, I drove to where her and my pop used to live, where I had a lot of fond memories, and she lived right next to a forest with a massive lake. Again, I was in bits, but I still had your show on for comfort. Sorry for the long email. I do try to keep them short, but this is one I just couldn't. Just wanted to say thank you for the show and for being that extra bit of support at a very hard time. Wanted you to be aware that this show does make a difference in people's lives for many different reasons, but it helped me get through an extremely hard couple of days. Again, I'm sorry for the long email, but I hope you're doing well, Stuart. Wow. Stuart. So sorry for your loss, for the passing of...
that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, grandmothers are, I assume Nan is the same as grandmother. They're
Nan and Pop.
Yep.
That's what I call them over here too.
Yeah, they're a gift from God, and you all heard on this show way back when my grandma Ruth passed, and then last year my final grandparent, my Bobsha, passed as well. And yeah, you're right. Even if it's expected, it's never makes it any easier because you have to say goodbye. And so sorry to you and your family, and hang in there and keep those memories close to you. I kind of love that you went to where they lived by the lake to just, to really just kind of soak in those memories and remember her and remember him. And I think that's actually kind of magical. And yeah, I'm glad that our show was some sense of comfort, some distraction, something to make you feel a little better in a tough time. And I really appreciate you sharing it, because you're right, we don't always know. We do this show, we do it for fun. We hear from some people, we never hear from others, and that's fine. But for someone like you, who we've never even spoken to, but we hear from pretty regularly, to know what's going on in your life, good or bad, and to know that we're somehow helping in a small way, it means a lot. It's very humbling, and it means a lot to me to hear that. So that's all. Just sending you lots of love, you and your family. Remember your Nan, keep her in your heart, and yeah, glad we could be there for you, even remotely.
Yeah, sincere condolences for that loss, man. And the good news is you at least had your grandmother in your life up to that point. It's memories that you're going to have forever. I mean, my grandparents passed away before my kids were born, and even my mother had passed away before my kids were born, but I still talk to my kids all the time about memories that I have with them. So having that time with them is a part of who you are, and always embrace and cherish that, and be thankful for the time that you did have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Andy will remember when he lost his grandmothers. Like, I said this to him. I said it to another friend of ours who lost his grandmother recently as well. Just take solace in the fact that you had grandparents at all. Like, I remember kids in like my primary school who didn't have grandparents. I mean, I had both sets. I was and a great grandmother till I was 14. I was very, very, very lucky. But the fact that you had grandparents to the age that you are is such a blessing, because a lot of people don't have that privilege. So just keep that in mind, and I hope that, like I said, it's some little piece of something to latch onto that is actually a good memory, like a good thing. That you were very, very lucky. And yeah, man, just condolences as well. It's sad, it sucks, and yeah, I obviously just blown away that I was able to, Andy and I were able to provide some sort of comfort in a time that's really, really hard. So my condolences, and hope that, keep your chin up, and hopefully you'll, turn the corner and move on with life, and still keep her in your memory.
Yeah. Yep. Those memories don't go away. It's
No.
crazy. Last week, I was telling a story to Catherine and another friend of mine, and it was about another friend of mine back at home, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't talked to him in forever. I'm like, I need to text him just to say hey, and his name is Rustin. And so I go into my phone and I type in RUS, or just RU, just RU.
Yep.
And Grandma Ruth pops up in my contacts with her cell phone number and her little picture. And I hadn't noticed that it was still in there after all this time. And it was just like, oh, like, shit, there she is.
Real gut punch.
Yeah. Like you forget, like, oh crap, you're still in my phone.
Because I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it's the circle of life. Like, you do move on with your life. I mean, we all have to. But yeah, there are sometimes you get those reminders out of nowhere, and it punches you in the gut.
Yeah. So just one of those things where it's like, oh damn it, and like so I'm like at home and I start getting choked up. I'm like, damn it. So anyway, the point is Stuart, we get it. We've been there. We love you. And yeah, we are sorry about that, but glad to help in some small way. But anyway, something we need to help as well is we need to help Brendan get to bed. It's a school night. So there are a handful of messages left. They're just going to have to wait till next time. If we didn't get to yours, hopefully we will next time. But we promised Brendan that we would get him home, or not home, but get him in bed at a decent hour. So we're going to close the Wayne Manor mailbox for now. We will reopen it on the next episode. If you've got a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. But we're going to wrap this up. Oh, and we also, aside from getting Brendan to bed, we got to get Jamie to his birthday party. Or whatever he's doing today.
First thing I'm doing when I leave here is going to take a shower because I'm dirty. The next thing I'm doing is going to church, and the next thing I'm doing is figure out what I'm eating all day.
All good plans. And then you're going to have some alone time and Google pregnant women.
I don't have to. I already have the picture in that bank.
Oh, weird. Okay. That's it. Jamie, happy birthday, buddy. Good to have you back. Always great when you make the time. I do apologize that it's early, but hey, only a couple months left. I'll be back in the United States of America. We'll be able to do it at a decent hour, and then Brendan's going to have to suffer.
And then I'm screwed.
Yep. Hope you guys enjoyed this time with Brendan. It's coming to a close. I just snuck under the 100-day mark of my time left in China.
Oh, wow. It is coming close then.
Coming up. But happy birthday, Jamie. We love you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Brendan, we love you too. And Jess.
Hey. She's sound asleep, but...
Okay.
Yeah. I'll pass on your kind words.
Pass on my kind words and Jamie's weird ones.
Oh, I already messaged to that. I was like...
just sent her that weird picture from the movie. I don't even know what it is, where John Lovitz is like peeking from behind a curtain with that
the wedding singer.
On his face.
Yeah, the wedding
singer.
For me.
Because I messaged her, I was like, weirdly, we've just been talking about you being pregnant for the last 5 minutes on the episode.
It's why.
And she's like, I hope it's nothing nasty. I'm like, no, just how beautiful you are and how Jamie thinks pregnant women are hot.
Yep, it's why people listen to Holy BatCast.
Yep. To find out our kinks.
Oh my God.
I ain't even ashamed. Brenda's got a really pretty wife. I mean, that's just how it is. And the fact that she's pregnant right now, I mean, that's crazy.
Terrific. Anyway, Brendan,
Okay.
Jamie's not on social media. You can tell people where they can find you.
If you want to reach out to me, you can find me via smoke signal, telepathy, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, you can still go to the Real Fans group, and he's there on occasion, especially when it comes to Kong versus Godzilla.
Shoot a flaming arrow into an empty Greek temple. You might be able to reach me that way too.
Perfect. But Brendan, go for it.
You can find me on Twitter at Lowy007. Same for Instagram. And in the Real Fans groups. I'm there.
All right. Great. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We do appreciate it, as always, for downloading the show. Please do subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, why don't you tell all your friends about me? Visit holybatcast.com. Find Holy BatCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Again, if you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that is Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. So on behalf of Jamie and Brendan, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
For sure. So, anyway.
Now I'm going to go to the bathroom because this has just made me have to purge stuff in my body.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Well, great. Well, take 5, I guess. It's his birthday. We'll allow it.
Are we going to keep talking news?
No, I'm going to wait for him.